Hi, my name is Anna and I'm a Purdue Votes Ambassador here to share voting resources. You all will have access to all the information in this presentation afterwards, so if we go a little too fast in this video, just refer back to that. Now let's start with some facts. Only 31.2% of eligible Purdue students voted in 2018. Our voting rate was higher at 47.9% in 2016, but still lower than the national average and lower than the university to our south. What can you and I do to change that? Well, civic engagement. Every one of us has a responsibility to be civically engaged, and yes, one of the simplest ways is through voting, but there's many more ways. Now I'll hand it off to Pravina.
Let's talk about voting. You are eligible to vote in the 2020 election in Indiana if you are a U.S. citizen and you are 18 years old or older by election day. Now, for the rest of this presentation, we'll be focusing on voting. So if you're not eligible to vote, feel free to listen along, or here are our civic engagement resources. You can take a few minutes to check them out instead. Step 1 was civic engagement. Step 2 is checking your registration online at vote.org. Even if you're 100% sure you've already registered, it's good to check to make sure your information is up to date.
Step 3 is registering to vote. If you have yet to register and are wanting to follow along today, go ahead and grab your driver's license from the state that you're wanting to register in. Indiana kids will be focusing on the indianavoters.gov website, and for any other states, we can go to vote.org and that will redirect you to the state that you're wanting to register in. So go ahead and scan that QR code to follow along. Each website will have the same content, but in different areas. For Indiana voter kids, we're going to go right here and that very first button to register now, and then vote.org is just the very second. Each website will ask you for more information to make sure that they are putting you in the right place and getting you registered to vote. Again, they'll ask you for eligibility and just making sure that you follow all the eligibility forms that Pravina went over earlier. Now in this step, you're going to need to grab that driver's license and go ahead and put in your card number and be able to submit it. Finally, you'll put in your last information like your name, date of birth, and your address. And you're almost done. All you have to do now is confirm your information and then hit submit.
If you want to register to vote in Indiana, but you don't have an Indiana driver's license, you have two options. Either you can go to CROC 336 to fill out the form and get it shipped free of charge, or two, you can access the federal voter registration form here, print it off, fill it out, and send it in the mail yourself. So at this point, if you followed along, congrats on being registered to vote. A+ for being civically engaged. Now, however, we're not quite done just yet. Now that you're registered to vote, let's talk about voting by mail, otherwise known as absentee ballots. If you'll be unable to vote in person on November 3rd, be sure to request an absentee ballot and confirm that you meet the state-specific eligibility requirements for voting absentee. Again, info is available at vote.org. You can and should request your ballot now, like today. However, the deadline in Indiana is October 22nd. Step 5, voter identification. If you're voting in person, whether early or on election day, you need to bring a photo ID. Valid forms of ID at Purdue voting locations include a Purdue ID as long as it has an expiration date. You can bring an Indiana driver's license, an Indiana state-issued ID, military identification, or a United States passport. Step 6, go out and vote on November 3rd. Your vote matters.
I know there's been a lot of information in this presentation, but we've got it all summarized in a document for you all to reference. You can also subscribe to voting reminders at vote.org, or for Purdue-specific information and updates like will there be an early voting on campus, please text @voting2020 to the number 81010.
Thank you for your time, and boiler up.